Pete Thompson blew a gasket earlier today regarding what happened in the Flyers game last night. Steve Coates called the action last night on the radio. You heard what went on there in the 5-4 loss, Coatesy. So kind of paint a picture for the listeners out there and explain to them what the NHL tried to explain last night.
You know, Michael, I'd like to be able to truly understand and explain it to everybody and make it sound like it makes sense, but we'll give them the long and the short of it, and they can make their own decisions on whether it makes any sense. First of all, the Flyers did go down 3-0. They did not deserve. If you've looked at the first period, they weren't in a hockey game at all. Okay. They came back. They got within one. All of a sudden, another bad goal became 4-2. Then they got back into again, but another goal. So it just kept the rhythm of the game kept moving ahead of the Flyers, where they were chasing the game because every time they did something right, like they were going really good in the third period, and all of a sudden the first shot by Ottawa with less than 10 minutes to go in the third period went in, and bang, it didn't look good again for the Flyers. They were going to be able to get back into the hockey game. So, saying that, Flyers had the opportunity to get on the board. Jordan Wheel was right in the toe step, kind of in the blue, but he didn't touch Anderson. The puck came back to the point. It went D to D. Filppula moved it over to Manning. Manning let a one-timer go, and it beat Anderson. Okay, so if it doesn't look bad, everything's fine. Boucher, the coach of the Ottawa Senators, he challenges it. And when you take a look at the replay, Anderson actually pushes Wheel, pushes him out towards outside the blue, and then resets. The puck goes by him. Jordan Wheel simultaneously at that time is jumping out of the way so the puck does not hit him. And I didn't think it was interference whatsoever. I did not think it was goaltending interference because the goaltender had the ability to reset himself. Now, it could have gone either way. I got to give it that because in this world today, you don't know what they're going to call. Well, they did take that away. So here we go again. The Flyers are back at it again and trying to get back into this thing. They pull their goalie, and I think they actually pulled their goalie the first time too. They pull their goalie again, and a big scrum to the left of the net to tie the hockey game. The puck is loose. They're banging away at it. That's what you got to do in a circumstance like that. You got to crash the net. Anything can happen. The whistle blows, and then all of a sudden, it looked like it wasn't even close to being in, and Wayne Simmons is going back to the bench yelling at the coach, like he's indicating that puck went in. So they asked the referees. The referees went for a revision. They went over to the penalty box, and you can see on the replay that the puck went in. There's no two ways about the puck went in. It was in the goalie's glove, but the goalie's glove was about a half a foot in, and you could see it right inside the strings of the net, of the glove. So
right.
We said on the air, it's a goal. That's a goal. No two ways about it. They came back and said the play was dead, which means when they say the play is dead, that the referee was about to blow his whistle but didn't blow his whistle. So the play is done when he thinks he's going to blow his whistle. And then you wonder why we drink.
No question, Coatsy. That's Rule 78.5 that says an apparent goal should be disallowed when the referee deems the play has been stopped, even if he had not physically had the opportunity to stop play by blowing his whistle. This is not a reviewable play. Therefore, the referee's call on the ice stands. And, of course, that goal there at the end was – it was not a goal. There's a couple things that jump out at me. One, if Anderson doesn't have the webbing in his glove, you don't even see the puck, so you don't even know. That was the first thing I thought of. Two, you've been in that situation room. Mike Gill doesn't want to call it the situation room, by the way. He wants to come up with a new nickname or a new name for that room. But you've been in that room. So you had a first goal where the referee, Steve Coates, on the ice, the goalie interference, Anderson looked at him, looked over him like, hey, what gives? And Kazari kind of pointed at the net again, like, no, it's a good goal. He moved out of the crease. It was the situation room that came and overruled him and said that wasn't a goal. Then in the second situation, he had said it was no goal, and then with the situation room maybe said to him it is a goal, he said, no, I was going to blow the whistle, and that rule comes out. do you think, if you add it all up, Steve Coates, and this is my long way of getting to the question, do you think the 2 late calls in Nashville, the slashes that weren't called the other night against Anaheim, now this, is there a legitimate beef for the Flyers on some of the officiating lately, or is that just the voice of the fans, frustrated fans coming through?
Well, I think you get a little you got to be mad about what's happened. I mean, I think that everybody that was on that plane last night was mad about what happened. I think that when you take a look at it, the interpretation, I've always said this, okay, video, that's a great thing. But if you're going to use video, get it right. But we have so many interpretations. They've gone so far to the one side on protecting the goalie. Please, you're killing me. The goalie's got more equipment on than anybody else. You can't touch him when he comes out of the crease. That used to be a great part of the game. And now you've got all these people. You got guys 6'2", 6'3", banging away. You're going to run into the goalie. The goalie's going to run into you. That's what's going to happen, because a lot of goalies are very active. Last night, Anderson pushed Wheel from behind, but all of a sudden, Wheel's the bad guy because, you see, it's all in the interpretation.
Right.
And then when you take a look at the ability for a referee to say, I was going to blow the whistle, I'm sorry I didn't get to it, the game's over. Are you kidding me? That's just, it's ludicrous to try to explain to the fan that that's the way you're going to decide when 40 men fight on an ice surface, on a 200 by 85 ice surface for 60 minutes, and you're going to end the game like that? There's too much money at stake. There's too much at stake to have that happen, and it shouldn't happen. And I would like to think that somebody in the NHL might say, well, this isn't working. We got to come up with something better, because it's just too, as I said, there's too much at stake. And it's not fair to the players. It's not fair to the fans. It's just, I think it's embarrassing, quite frankly. It's embarrassing.
I couldn't agree with you more. Steve Coates with us, the Flyers radio analyst. Now, I thought the players handled it well, Coatesy, in the locker room after the game and the dressing room. A bunch of the guys echoed the same thought, which is, wasn't a goal, and the officials, you can't get frustrated at that. That doesn't change the fact that we allowed 6 goals against the Ducks and 5 goals against the Senators, 11 goals against. How much is the loss of Andrew McDonald affecting this team right now?
Huge. And for all the detractors of Andrew McDonald, maybe step back a little bit and understand what you're looking at right now. I mean, your number one veteran right now on the blue line is Gudas with 250 and change in games in the National Hockey League. That's not very much when you think about the experience that's on most blue lines in the NHL. You got Sanheim, you got Haig, you got Provorov with 92. You got half your blue line is less than 100 games in the NHL. Less than 100 total, maybe. No, Hagen, Sanheim, and Provorov be around 120, 115. My point here is that you don't realize how good somebody is to your hockey club until this happens. And quite frankly, you can't continue like this. Something like last night, they tried to move Hagen and Sanheim together. It didn't work. I mean, it was worth a try. It didn't work to play 2 young kids together on the blue line in the National Hockey League. So they changed it around and got better, and the team came back. But it's sad that it had to happen like this. I mean, Gostisbehere, we talked to Gostisbehere yesterday about it. He says that Andrew McDonald handles it so well that they think the world of him in the locker room. They think the world of him on the ice. They think the world of him as a guy that they made the assistant captain. They're the ones that made the assistant captain. If your teammates think that of you, where did somebody else think that they were the smarter guy than the 20 people that are in that room?
Right.
If you know what I mean.
Coatsy, where do you like what's your preference as far as the defensive pairings go? Because you're right, in the 2 games that Andrew McDonald's been out, they've tried a couple different combinations. Do you like offensive guy with defensive guy, or do you like offensive guy with offensive guy for one line, 2 shutdown defensive guys on another line? How do you think is the best way to use them?
I like the active defenseman with the stay-at-home defenseman. Haig being a stay-at-home defenseman, Manning being a stay-at-home defenseman, Gudas being a stay-at-home defenseman. So that brings you Sanheim and Gostisbehere and Provorov. And how you mix them and match them after that, that's where the coaching staff takes over and really digs into. It's probably something the analytics come into play too. the analytics, which I don't know how much of a percentage they use in thinking about what's happening out there, but I definitely think that they use that to figure out who's good together on the blue line. Listen, as much as the game, like last night they lose Andy McDonald the other night, they played really. I'm more enthused about the fact that the way they came back, they deserved to win the game after coming back. They did not deserve to win the game in the first period. That's 3 games now. I think you can look at the goaltending and say that the goaltending wasn't up to snuff to win the game. I think that Neuby was not even close to where he's been in the first 3 games.
Right.
And the timing of the goals, like I mentioned when I started here, the timing of the goals, just every time you started to feel better about what you were doing, every time you got close to them and they had them bottled up. Can you imagine you went 10 minutes and like 20 seconds into the third period, not allowing them a shot. And the next thing you know, bang, it's in the net. That's like deflating. I know it deflated me as a broadcaster going, oh, man, we're in this thing. But they came back again. So
we're talking
that's
with
the
Steve
good
Coates.
thing to look at. Tomorrow's going to be a real beauty because the Leafs are coming off a loss last night here to Carolina. And our guys got a burr on their butt from what happened last night in Ottawa.
Yeah, we're talking with Steve Coates on the Flyers Radio Network. You mentioned Neuvirth, 5 goals on 28 shots. I feel like it's Groundhog's Day when we talk to you every year, Coach. Has anybody separated themselves to you as a standout in net?
Up until last night, yeah, I thought Neuvirth. Not even close. Neuvirth had a save percentage of .957, number 1 in the National Hockey League going into last night's game. That went all to hell in a hand basket very quickly. So, no, I look at 3 games that we could have won if our goaltending had been just regular, and that didn't happen. And Neuvirth had been stellar. I mean, really good. And then last night, all of a sudden, that first goal was just like wordy. He just missed it. I think it was from the blue line. He just missed it. Went right by him. And I don't know if he was screened or not. It was hard to say whether Sanheim jumped out of the way. Sanheim's a big guy. He might not be able to see it. But there was probably, of the 5 that were scored, I'd say that 3 he'd like to have back.
Well, we'll see if they can do it again tomorrow night and then Monday as well. And, of course, the Flyers season just in the early goings here, 5-5 to start. A tough one last night in Ottawa. And Steve Coates on the Flyers Radio Network, kind enough to join us. Hey, Coach, PT read that all off the screen himself?
You know what? He has some hidden talents. It takes some time to get it out of him sometimes. But, he's in a place like the Wonder Bar. He's very comfortable probably there. And it's a good thing for everybody.
All right, pal. We'll talk to you next week.
You got it. Take care.